Um, at first was playing with the idea of us talking more about sugars and that kind of stuff. And then I played with the idea of the basics of keto because Amanda had reached out last week. I did hear you, even though I didn't respond, about what do I shop for? What is my keto shopping world like? Right. And she said before I started my $10 a week allowance. So
right, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's true.
And
That's a
so,
great point.
but then Terry from Homestead How, he is doing, oh, excuse me, what is it? Healing Humanity, a documentary that's going to be broadcast on a few different locations. And he's really putting together a good show. And before we even get into this in Ken's verse, I do want to, he is real strict carnivore. And it's good for some people and it's not good for some people. You know, not everybody can follow it, but he does really stress the carnivore angle of it. But I really liked what he had to say in this about the chemical poisonings with the Cheerios that have been on the news lately, and I think it's something we really need to also keep the ball rolling on the information. So, Ken, would you like to go ahead and start with your Bible verse here?
Yes.
I think it was a warning to me because I haven't been real pleasurable this week, not feeling so good. So he had to pick something to warn his wife.
Well,
Were you sick or?
in the book of Romans.
Just like,
you
we'll
know,
talk about it during. Okay, go ahead, baby. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Mr. Baby to them.
Mr. Baby.
Yeah.
That's okay. This week we got a reading from the book of Romans, chapter 12, verse 10 in the NLT, which reads, "Love each other with genuine affection and take delight in honoring each other." I'd like to say, the members of our keto group are here to love each other with genuine affection as members of God's family. They are to feel towards one another like a loving family, always looking out for one another, and we are ready to help you on your keto journey. Thank you for listening, and God bless.
And I think we have found that in this group, a place where we can all talk about anything and try to help each other, which is really so. But I didn't know what verse. We don't work on our accumulating information for Thursday nights together. We usually then compare notes Wednesday, Thursday morning as to what we got going. But I haven't felt real loving towards a lot of people this week, so I think that's why he came up with that.
Romans, like the romantic book of the Bible of some sort, I think. I think it is. You see a lot of love in there.
Yeah.
So that's about one.
Paul wrote Romans to remind people to stop living in the law and to start treating people and treating God with respect through the Spirit instead of always relying on the strictness of the law. And he did it in a way because he wanted to let everybody know that the Romans were included in reaching the gospel, right? Because people thought, wait a minute, they're not supposed to be part of this.
It was
It was only
God's
for
chosen.
God's chosen people.
Right.
Those are Hebrews, right? And well, Paul, he was a guy that actually was a Roman citizen, and at the same time, he was also a Pharisee. So he was a Hebrew Pharisee. So he knew both the law and the as a Roman citizen, he could reach both parties. So he was pretty much a representative of the gospel and a representative of Rome. So he was able to say, hey, let's do this in a way that goes to everybody. It's inclusive, and so it's a pretty amazing book that really does include, talks a lot about love, because it's talking about including everyone and in the gospel, so that everyone's important, that God is extending love to the entire world, not just the adopted Hebrew people. So
Right.
it's
Explanation.
really important.
Thank you for explaining.
Paul wrote a lot of books.
Yeah. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and on that, reaching out and loving, touching other people. I know one thing I have in my notes related to mention, but I'll mention it now, is that, if the 10 of us reach out, I think there's 10 of us all registered. If we each reach out and touch 10 people about the keto journey, that's 100 people coming from this room that we are touching. And it's, it's showing them the love that we haven't been taught with the SAD diet. So, but let me see if I can get Carrie. And like I said, Carrie I really like listening to him. But I promise I can do this. Live caption all came up. Okay. Play on TV. I think a lot of my problem with this is I get impatient. It takes a little while for it to talk, and I'm going,
Yeah.
do it. Okay. We'll close that. We'll go here. But yeah, he gets quite passionate, and I like a lot of his videos and the people he's interviewing for this. He can't play a lot of the interview because he is using it for the documentary, but he's got bits and pieces from all of the different people that he's interviewing.
You need to open YouTube first on the TV.
I don't
There you go.
think so. I think it was just hitting the right. Okay,
We're gonna see James and Emily on Saturday.
Let's just start with Cheerios because it's the most popular cereal and it's in the news right now. Let's look at the ingredients in these cereals. The first ingredient, whole grain oats. Oh, that sounds healthy, that sounds wholesome, that sounds great. What are whole grain oats? First of all, these aren't whole grain oats because they pulverize them.
he's been doing carnivore not quite a year.
There was some
When he started it, he went right to carnivore, I believe. He's lost over 100 pounds, but has gone off with 20-some
But what are whole grain
medications.
oats? They're starch. And what happens in starch when you put it in your body? It turns into glucose, sugar. So the first ingredient is basically, once you break it down, sugar. The second ingredient, corn starch. Well, there we go. I just said oats are starch. Starch breaks down into sugar. Corn starch, you got more sugar. So ingredient 1 is basically sugar. Ingredient 2 is basically sugar. Let's look at ingredient 3.
Sugar.
Ingredient 3 is sugar. So you have sugar, sugar, and sugar. But it's so good for you.
Heart healthy.
Kids. So what are we doing to these kids, these children? We're giving them sugar. Sugar causes inflammation. Sugar causes the blood sugar to rise and fall. Sugar leads to poor metabolic health. Sugar, if taken long enough for years and years and decades, can lead to cancer. I interviewed Professor Seafried, and I learned that most cancers are caused from mitochondria dysfunction from chronic inflammation.
That's why Albert Schweitzer, the great humanitarian physician, looked at 40,000 people in the African. He never saw cancer in any of these patients. So he said, well, what's going on? Why these Africans don't get cancer? Why the Inuits never? Now the problem is the Inuits are loaded with cancer, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease. As soon as the Western diet comes in, highly processed carbohydrate foods put you in a state of inflammation. Inflammation damages respiration. So chronic inflammation can damage respiration, a population of cells in some tissue, eliciting cancer. We have an obesity epidemic. In fact, obesity is now replacing smoking as the number 1 risk factor for cancer, right? So what's going on with all that? Diet and lifestyle. It's diet and lifestyle. So you're not exercising, you're eating horrible foods, putting yourself in an obese state, inflammation, and that puts you at risk for all kinds of different cancers.
Before I started the proper human diet, oh boy, I had chronic inflammation from the foods I was eating. Sugars are highly inflammatory. Seed oils, all this processed garbage is highly inflammatory. Then people look on the box and they're like, oh, it's got all these vitamins in it. It's so good for you. It's garbage. All of the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that were in those oats are completely pulverized. And then they're cooked so that the cereal can be made shelf stable and it can survive on a shelf for years and years. You can still eat it later. It destroys any of the nutrients that was in there. But it's okay because they fortify it. They add synthetic fake vitamins back in after the fact. Most of these vitamins that are added in after the fact, they're not even soluble. Your body can't even absorb them. They're not even bioavailable, soluble, whatever you want to say. They don't uptake into the body like they would if they were in their natural, proper state. It's a complete joke. We're giving them sugar, 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 which leads to type 2 diabetes. Let's talk about kids and type 2 diabetes. When I grew up, if I went to the doctor and I had type 2 diabetes, my doctor would be like, whoa, like, let's triple check this. This is crazy. We don't see children with type 2 diabetes like this. Nowadays, what do you see? It's rampant. So many children have type 2 diabetes right now. We're poisoning these little kids with sugar and getting them addicted from a young age, creating poor metabolic health, creating inflammation, and that puts you at risk for all kinds of different cancers, creating brain fog and fatigue. These poor kids are trying to go to school and they can't keep up with their peers. Why are they having these temper tantrums? Because they're high on an addictive drug that we've normalized. They're high on sugar. They can't fall asleep. They have sugar. Their blood sugars are going up and down throughout the day. But we have normalized sugar, and everyone's just like, it's just fine. That's the way it's always been. You go to grandma, she gives you sugar. Halloween, sugar. It's their birthday. Give them birthday cake with sugar on it. It's normal. Explain to me in the comments right now how sugar is any different than any drug out there. We're taking it for pleasure. It's highly addictive. It lights up the brain on an MRI, just like if you're taking cocaine. Now, if we're giving kids cocaine, that would be insane. But not if we were doing it their entire lives like we are with sugar. It would just be normal. We have these horrible social norms in society that drive me absolutely insane. That's just the way it is. That's just the way it always is. You look around in humanity right now, and we are so sick and declining. And people are just like, it's just fine. Cancer rates amongst adults under 50 are going through the roof. Type 2 diabetes, we already mentioned. 70% of Americans are overweight. 70%. Go back and watch the news from like the 1970s where they're outside like a movie theater for a Star Wars premiere. You'd see 1 or 2 fat guys. Now 7 out of 10 of them are overweight. If you have poor metabolic health, you are 6 times more likely to suffer heart disease than if your cholesterol numbers are off. But the only thing the whole world is still brainwashed about is, well, what about your cholesterol? I tell them I'm eating the proper human diet. I'm eating meat and eggs. I'm eating one ingredient, proper foods that humans have literally been eating since the start of time. As Dr. Berry said when I interviewed him.
We have been eating red meat as a human species for exactly the same number of days as we've been drinking water and breathing air.
And people are worried about that, and they're just fine eating this cereal. Let's keep going on the cereal. We just talked about the ingredients. So with all of those ingredients, right there alone, why would I be giving that to a child? Why would I be getting a child hooked on sugar? The first 3 ingredients, sugar, sugar, sugar. Why would I do that? What is that giving the child? Why don't I just go make the kids some scrambled eggs? Well, you can't unring this bell if you can't unhear this right now. This stuff is horrible for them. We're getting them hooked on sugar, and we shouldn't be doing it. And if it takes me 5 minutes to make some scrambled eggs, and I don't have 5 minutes to give to my daughter Lily to make her scrambled eggs, then I shouldn't have had children in the first place. If the convenience of giving them cereal, despite these horrible side effects,
I warned you.
in the future, then I shouldn't have had kids in the first place. Now we're just talking about the ingredients. Let's get going with what else. When I interviewed Dr. Ken Berry, he's talking about
Every single time you eat a bowl of cereal, you're eating glyphosate.
Yeah.
100% of the time.
you're eating glyphosate, Roundup, weed killer. It's everywhere.
Glyphosate's everywhere. Glyphosate's in 85% of the rainfall. It's in 85% of the air we breathe. It's in every water river system in the world. It's simply in your daily life. Glyphosate everywhere is the real underpinnings of the chronic disease epidemic we sit in, from lymphomas, leukemias, and the like, all the way to bladder cancer, thyroid cancer, liver cancers, all of those directly related to the amount of Roundup residues within our food and water systems. We're pouring about 4 billion pounds of this stuff into the global soils every year. It's an astonishing amount of toxicity, and for the action of that chemical, we're sterilizing the soils of the earth, but also the soil within our gut.
And it's in cereal, in particular Cheerios. The fact that there are a lot of amounts is insane to me. In my mind, is a slow poison okay? What if there's just 1% glyphosate? What if there's 1/10 of 1%? How about if there's 0? I will eat 0. Is there so much benefit to these Cheerios that I'm willing to poison myself with glyphosate? There's glyphosate in the cereal, and you're okay giving that to your kids. I'm speaking to my former self again. If I could go back
in time to my 35-year-old self,
yeah.
and so I would literally say, dumbass.
I would bring my neck. You're giving them sugar, laced with glyphosate. And they're getting hooked on.
That's just how he is in person.
I love
a
it.
box of Cheerios back on the shelf if you're interested in your health. A staggering 4 to 5 Americans are being exposed to a dangerous chemical linked to reduced fertility, altered fetal growth, and delayed puberty. Those chemicals are reportedly on a huge number of popular oat-based foods in America. So unfortunately, the latest example, Jessica, of our food supply
February
literally being
17th.
poisoned. We have so much processed food in America now that contains all of these chemicals that they claim are for shelf life stability, for the ability of these foods to be preserved for a longer period of time so they don't go bad as quickly. But it turns out that as we get more science on this topic, that a lot of these chemicals are obviously not good for our bodies. And I don't think it's any coincidence that we've seen a rise in chronic illnesses, in diabetes, obesity throughout our country as our food supply has gotten away from whole foods and more into these types of boxed, prepackaged goods.
I was doing some research about these Cheerios, and it just drives me nuts. There's all of this him and on. Is it okay? Is it not okay? Yeah, but there's just a little bit in it, so it should be fine. My question is why? 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 Why are you even considering it? It's sugar filled with glyphosate and literally nothing you need. You could go eat some scrambled eggs, and it's 1,000 times better. So if you're interested in learning more about our documentary, we still need more people to participate. We're looking for people with type 2 diabetes and fertility issues that are undertaking the proper human diet. We're following people over the course of a year. We've already filmed Bill Knott. We filmed Maggie, a rancher in Canada, 82 years old. She's been eating the proper human diet for 65 years. She will live to 120. I'll bet everything on it. I'll bet everything on it. She's the most amazing individual I've met.
She looks like she's
Jeff
50.
the Phosphorus. On a journey to be cancer-free, thriving, going through chemotherapy. The guy doesn't eat for 5 days in a row, and he has more energy, 100 times more energy than the average human on the standard American diet. Jeff is living his life to its fullest potential. It's incredibly inspiring. We're following around other individuals, and we're learning so much from all these great doctors. I just interviewed Dr. Ken Berry.
Very often we don't research common sense.
And it's completely crowdfunded. We're not sponsored by some company like Kellogg's or Beyond Meat. I want to just get the truth out there. That's all I care about is the truth. If people start the proper human diet and they fail, you're going to see that. You're going to see the good, you're going to see the bad, you're going to see the truth. I'm very proud of the fact that we've raised a lot of money. We recently hit $100,000 on GoFundMe. It's so humbling. It's such a blessing. I'm so thankful because it's going to help the hopeless, but we need more to do this properly and to reach millions of people. I'm so proud of the fact that out of that $100,000, thousands of it is my own money, thousands of hours of my time as well. I'm never taking a penny of any of that money. Every penny from those donations go 100% towards this documentary. We just recently purchased studio-grade lighting that we were renting when we filmed Dr. Ken Berry. We have our Netflix-approved cinema camera. We need to get another one. We have to film so many more individuals all around the world, so it's going to be expensive to do this properly. I hate asking for donations, but if you're interested in donating, if you're interested in helping the hopeless, that's the ultimate goal. I will assure you every penny you donate goes 100% towards this documentary and ultimately helping the hopeless. You can donate at donate.healinghumanity.movie. donate.healinghumanity.movie, and you can visit healinghumanity.movie. We're selling Healing Humanity shirts, Compassionate Carnivore shirts. We're selling Redmond salt shakers, water bottles, all of those purchases. If you super chat on my website, on YouTube, every single penny goes towards this documentary. I'm confident this is going to change the world. It already is. It's inspiring people. It's changing the world. And I'm not going to stop until we reach millions of people. Thanks a lot for watching.
He's awesome.
He is.
What's his name?
Kerry Mann. You'll find him under, well, probably by his name anymore, but Homestead How. Him and his wife, and they have triplet daughters and plus one. And they live in Wisconsin. And he is really into the grounding, Emily. One of the videos I just recently watched, he was walking through the snow and the slush and the mud barefoot outside recording
He
his.
does the snow. I do the summer and I do it in the grass, but not. You do the snow?
I mean, I have before, yeah.
Oh, you have?
And so we're going to that's another topic we need to all investigate more into to find out, because there's so much that we could do to help heal our bodies. It's not more than just the food. Food is a big thing, though. We're definitely finding
What was
out.
the woman's name? The lady?
Maggie.
Maggie?
Yes.
She's a rancher.
And
she's
she's
been interviewed by lots of people in our space.
Yeah, she's 82
Country.
years old, has done carnivore over 60 years.
That's wild last name.
Maggie is probably all you'll need under carnivore.
If you search on YouTube Maggie Carnivore Rancher,
Didn't,
Yeah.
you'll find her.
Wasn't it Ken Berry that interviewed her?
There's been a few other
Several.
doctors.
I mean, the one that we
He's
watched.
talked about her, but I don't know if he interviewed.
We watched. an
Carrie
interview
has
with her.
got some interview with her, some of it that he can, show for YouTube and whatever, but the good part of it, I'm sure, is going to be for the documentary. So, and Bill Knott, who he talks about, is out of Alaska. Matter of fact, when I drove school bus when my kids were little, I probably turned around right there at his yard area. When we get back up there, I'm going to reach out to him. But he started carnivore at 700 pounds. This week I watched one of his, and he was down to 460 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, and this has been a year.
A year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's massive.
And just the health, the glow, like we said about Darren.
Right.
Hey, Darren, you're going to have to watch this. We're talking about you. He has got healthy looks to him now that he didn't have before he started the keto journey. So, but yeah, Carrie, it's Mann, Mann, Homestead How. And look at some of his others. He's passionate, yeah, about what he does. So I'm going to send him just a little blurb on who I am.
Yeah, good
I
networking.
think you should.
Yeah. So who we are, our little, group here.
This might sound funny, but how do you shop for the carnivore diet? You know what I
Stick
mean?
to the meat section.
No. No, there's got to be a flow to it, though. Like the people that are doing it long term aren't eating steak every single day. They're eating
Now,
Steak, ground
Or-
beef, lamb, pork,
You know what I'm
eggs.
saying? So,
Yeah.
like, what is like their flow to it? That's all
Well,
I'm asking.
what our flow is right now, and I would compare it to shopping. I have Ken go out and get out 6 to 10 packages of frozen meat. Mix it up, get it out of our freezer, bring it into thaw. And that's what then I will be cooking throughout, the week.
Yeah.
So I would think shopping should be about the same way. Make your rounds of just the
Do any
outside.
of you follow Dr. Colbert? Colbert.
I know I don't.
So Dr.
I don't
Colbert
know.
is a Christian,
Uh-huh.
and I've read several of his books. What was it? It was I read
Let
his
food be your medicine.
Let Food Be Your Medicine,
and reversing diabetes.
and
there's another
Keto Zone Diet.
Keto.
He does the Keto Zone Diet, and he does the fasting zone, and
Yeah.
all. So he has
Yeah.
books on the fasting and keto and everything. And in the Keto Zone Diet, he talks about carnivore, and he says for proper gut biome, there is a map of what kind of meat you should eat and how much you should eat. Like, you shouldn't eat red meat every day in a row for every meal to have a proper. You still need.
This is exactly what I'm asking.
You still need fish. You still need poultry. You
Right.
still need these. And he says what you get out of each of these different things, and how much fats you need, and if you need eggs, and how often you should eat each type of meat every week.
We'll find that chart and bring it.
Yeah.
And you
So
know,
he
each
has a.
doctor, each professional out there, each of us have something different that works for our own bodies. And that we have to
Yep.
keep in mind too, because then I look at Dr. Baker, Sean Baker, Dr. Anthony Chaffee, and they eat red meat and water.
Yeah, I
So,
follow Sean, and he does that, and I'm just like, man, in my brain, like, I like fish,
uh-huh.
you know, like,
Yeah.
I like fish. So, but in my brain, I just eating just red meat every single day. I'm like, there's got to be something he's missing by doing it.
Right.
Now he's probably supplementing because he can afford to with
Yeah.
really well-made supplements, but yeah, he cracks me up.
Well, one of the things Dr. Berry has said, you can do beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. If you add in sardines every now and then, you will have everything you need.
I love
But with beef,
So
he doesn't just mean muscle meat. It's also organ
beef
meat.
liver.
Okay, so there's a lot of times people will just go ahead and think of only beef as, well, I eat beef, I eat muscle meat, so it's ground
Ground
muscle,
beef, steak,
right? So
whatever.
anything steak or ground
I
beef.
literally
but
take
instead-
a supplement every day.
Yeah,
That's
it's extremely
Yeah.
important to have our kidney and our heart and various things like that. And he talks, and Ken Berry was talking about that the other day. It's awesome just to go ahead and have a whole bunch of ground up fried hearts, you know.
So nose to tail,
really good.
yeah.
beef,
So
bacon, butter, and eggs. And bacon you can, supplement with like pork belly and
Oh,
things like
don't
that.
even use that profanity in this house today, woman.
You don't like
No, we love it.
pork belly.
It
Oh,
is
are you out of bacon? Is what you're saying?
No,
bacon? So good.
we will get to it.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
All right, let's
I
continue
touched
on.
I touched a nerve.
Oh.
Touched a nerve. I
Here
think
she goes.
Guys, I don't know about
Dr. Don Colbert would he has a lot of that, like how to increase your gut
Hi,
biome.
Dr. Eric Westman here with my
Not to shut you up or anything.
I know. I see what you're doing. I see.
Yeah, and
I
Well,
see.
There
It's
we go.
okay. We gotta keep it moving.
keeping us on keto, but I've been talking to her about being carnivore.
Well, you see, when you come here, how much more
Yeah.
towards carnivore
Yes.
we have gone. And it's not that we don't like plants. We're definitely not into big plant-based anything. That's why we have
Right.
no brains and all that. But we have found out, both of us, that there's certain plants that don't like us.
Right.
And it's a trial and error, just like the different doctors for the carnivore, there's different opinions for, and we'll get to this. Let's listen to Dr. Westman.
Okay.
He's from Duke University. He trained under Dr. Atkins first, and he actually helped pen the revision to the Atkins diet revision back whenever the book was. And this was before they sold out Atkins to become just another manufactured crap on the shelf
Right.
kind of company.
Right.
So we had a great opportunity to sit and visit with Dr. Westman a couple of times. I Went over and introduced myself while he was having his breakfast, and he was very good about it. He wanted to talk to people. And then we also, was it later that day where he came up to us at Margaritaville in Cozumel
Yes.
and needed to borrow money? So he had to pay for that one. He really had to talk to me then, So he forgot his wallet on the ship. He was going
$1 a minute.
he was going on an excursion and didn't have any cash in his pocket.
That's so fun.
And then I don't remember that. And I think it was the next day or something in the evening is when then he and Dr. Barry introduced me and had me come up on the stage with them. And that's on our YouTube video too, of when I got to be up there because we were all cover girls. And right now, Dr. Chaffee's on the cover of Woman's World out there on them.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah, So it's kind of neat to collect those, knowing you know those people.
Yeah.
You know that cover girl. Oh yeah, like that cover girl.
I do brag about that to people.
Oh,
It's your fault. You showed it to me.
he's sure getting sassy anymore. He used to be so quiet. So okay, but
He's a chip off the old block.
Dr. Westman actually runs, which Duke University let him rename it to the Keto Clinic out of Dirk.
Dude.
Yeah, you know that place?
Duke University.
Yeah, I could never get in there
I
because
was
I
going to say
can't
beef jerky as well, but it's okay.
talk. So,
Top 10 keto foods.
and this is only under 7 minutes. But we're talking the
What
top
are my
keto
top
foods.
10 keto foods? Well, first of all,
He does have
This
a
is
second.
my
for
top 10 foods might
Our
not be
lady in the
yours.
corner who has lots of
Foods that you
questions.
like.
Best
No,
foods to
love.
buy.
And so,
I listen.
when I mention a type of food, think of many different varieties, however you would like to do it, whether you like it or not. And so I'm going to start with my top keto food is eggs. So I think eggs are the perfect food. You can make an entire chicken out of an egg. And eggs, any style, if you like them hard boiled or soft boiled or scrambled or over easy or as egg bites or as all that, eggs have to be number one, the top keto food. Now, number two is some kind of meat, or it could be poultry. The order is not so important here. Meat is fine. Red meat is fine. Choose the meat that you like. In fact, it could be top sirloin, it could be ribeye, it could be ground beef, it could be pork, it could be lamb, veal, sausage, it could be spam, it could be, if you lived in Hawaii or South Korea, you're probably thinking about having spam right now. It could be in a can, if it's okay.
A lot.
These meats get a bad rap because of the very weak observational science. It's called nutritional epidemiology. And there's a very small association with some diseases, and it really is not solid enough for me and lots of medical experts to worry about it. So don't worry about the red meat consumption. Choose the meat that you like. Number three, poultry, and there's a lot of chicken that's consumed in North Carolina. It could be turkey, it could be duck, it could be any kind of poultry. And of course, you want to be careful about breading.
Where you hunt for it?
Chicken, for example. So
Neighbor's yard?
you're having chicken, it will be grilled or breaded, coated with something other than breading. A lot of people use crushed pork rinds as a breading for chicken. Or it could be rotisserie chicken. It could be prepared for you already. Again, choose what you like under the conditions that you want. Someone came to me recently saying, I wasn't successful because I didn't meal prep. And I said, what do you mean? You don't need to meal prep. Some people do choose to do that, others don't, but that's not a requirement for a keto diet. I'm not sure where that came from. The next one, number 4, fish and seafood. Often not remembered. Years ago, the keyhole view or popular idea of what Atkins was bacon. And yes, it could be real bacon, pork, or turkey, doesn't matter, or beef. But people would portray the Atkins diet as bacon. When I was at a meeting, a doctor came to me and said, "Well, I'm doing the salmon Atkins diet." I said, "Well, what's that?" He said, "Well," he reminded me that Dr. Atkins didn't require you to have bacon. That was kind of a popular media representation of that approach. What Dr. Atkins taught and what we're teaching is to just keep the carbs really low, and so eating fish would be fine. Of course, lightly breaded or not breaded at all, but fish and seafood are one of the top keto foods, and the type of fish and seafood that you like. The next section, really, the way I teach is the non-starchy vegetables, and again, it's the vegetables that you like, and the ABCs include asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, celery, cucumbers. Now, not in any particular order, and it could be any of those that you like. Celery is useful for the crunch. If you're missing something crunchy, cauliflower is useful for making mashed cauliflower or cauliflower rice, a substitution there. So any of these non-starchy vegetables, the one you like, are going to be, the top next 3 of the best keto foods. And then greens, of course, we think you should have some greens. Doesn't matter if it's collard greens, beet greens, lettuce, any kind of lettuce is fine. And finally, to round out my top keto foods, I think you have to have cheese. And again, that's just my preference. Growing up in Wisconsin, we had a lot of cheese, and still I like cheese. And again, the top keto food is one you like. It might not be the same as mine. And then finally, cream or half and half is my last keto food, because I would like that in my coffee or in the eggs, the way we make them. So the keto foods in general are very low in carbohydrates, and really there's no keto food. It's a metabolic state, but that's kind of an understanding of what ketosis means. And I know people are somewhat afraid of that, but remember, every human goes into nutritional ketosis if they don't eat for 2 days. It's what we've stored on our body as energy. We store fat on our body. So I don't think it's an abnormal or unsafe situation to be in. Hope that's helpful. Top 10 keto foods, and maybe let me know down below what your favorite foods are. Keep the carbs super low so your body generates its own ketones from the fat that you're starting to burn. That's the secret to the keto diet. If you like this, please click like.
Okay, we're done with you. Buzz off. I just wanted to show you, I don't know, this is how I bring it up. Easy Peasy Keto, all one word, skip a space and put my name, and it brought this up. And then, well, it brings in a bunch of other stuff. Anybody who used the words easy peasy. But I hit on there, and then it brings up our website.
That man's a heck of a ballroom dancer too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes. And then he told us later he's taken a lot of classes. But yeah, he was like,
It was like from one, they go right out after each dance, you get another woman.
Oh, really? Oh,
We're out and dance with her. Yep. That's when we had our, what was it, 20s, 30s night team. There's a lot of dance.
okay, be patient. You keep hitting the buttons and it gets confused. Now, I wasn't planning on playing this, but it came up.
don't think Nina Teicholz is going to be able to do it from an administrative
I remember.
angle alone. It's going to take all. It's going to, what you guys know what I do is I work on the grassroots. I work on literally patients teaching their doctors. Because Dr. Westman knows this, when one person comes in and says, except in his case, but usually when one person comes in and says, hey, I've been drinking a thimble full of soap water once a day, and man, my lumbago is gone. We hear that kind of anecdotal stuff all the time, and you're like, okay, but what do I do with it when the 10th guy comes in drinking the soap water, and the 100th guy comes in? At some point, I'm going to Google soap water. What the hell is soap water? But that humans are the ultimate pattern recognition machine. And if you're a good primary care doctor, you're always looking for patterns. You're always, and that's how the biopsy thing came out. Is doctors kept seeing this
You can
pattern.
read that one. You can't read the other one.
So when enough of you guys go to your doctor, like this guy, lost 100 pounds, off his 100 units of insulin in 2 weeks. You know how often the doctor hears that? Never. And so the first thing the doctor's going to say initially is that guy's nuts. He needs to get his ass back on his insulin right now before he dies. Right? But then they're going to check some blood. They're going to go, what the hell? That's weird. Okay? But then when he goes home and he teaches his brother and his next door neighbor, and the guy has coffee with McDonald's with no sugar.
It's Kathy Nichols.
And they have
She's recording this.
and they're going to go, and all of a sudden, what was your highest A1C? So not terrible, but right. But when the doctor, he's right. When a doctor sees a 7.0 go to 5.8 and off all insulin, that's not supposed to be possible. But then when his brother does it too, and then his next door neighbor does it, and then the guy at McDonald's does it, at some point that doctor's going to say, what the? Keto works better than the FDA approved medicine? What? That doctor's going to do an internet search. And now you've got a doctor. How many you guys have a low carb keto friendly doctor? Look around, there's a few. And now, if I asked that question on the first 3, 5, or 6 years ago, there might have been one person raise their hand. Okay? Increasingly, when I go to these events, I'll say, raise your hand if you are an MD, DO, PA, nurse practitioners, RNs, any pharmacist. And I asked that the first one called crazy numbers, which means, thing you said. That's it. Figures. Now, hands go up everywhere. Especially the mid-level medicals, the nurse practitioners, the physician assistants, the RNs, the BSNs, they are not trying to be friends with the drug reps. They're actually trying to help patients. And when they see this guy, his friend, his neighbor, and his coffee buddy, they are immediately interested. I think faster than MD, especially faster than the average academic MD. They're much more interested in that immediately. And then before long, you've got a convert, and they're telling all their patients, here's a pamphlet, I want you to look at this and get on.
I could speed this up, but you guys really need to listen.
From the top and from the bottom. Because I can't tell you how many people in our private community have changed their doctor. And I don't mean that in the other way. I mean their doctor is now low carb keto friendly. Because they've seen them do it, and their sister, and the next door neighbor, and also the doctor tried it, and it worked for him too. This is very often happens because, like I said in my presentation, doctors are just dudes and chicks. They're just people. They are interested in being healthy as well. How many of you guys, your doctor's overweight or obese? Right? So when you set it, you are literally setting an example for your doctor 6 months from now, a year from now, when they're like, holy shit, what happened to you? Looks like you fell into a meat grinder in a good way. After you're gone, that doctor's gonna, if they have any intellectual curiosity whatsoever, if they have any empathy left in their body, most of those, they're going to be intrigued. What? Just like you with your first patient. Doing and check, huh? How about switching to the art, the finesse of family members? Someone came back and was all upset that the family's not doing it, and they felt it had influenced them. And how do you coach people? Has anyone need some coaching on how to fail people like pretty solid? And I don't think people you live with, or the occasional contact, and how do you coach that? How many of you guys have had a family member come to you trying to get you to sign up for a multi-level marketing thing that they just are on fire for? How many? Raise your hand. Right? Now, initially you're like, oh my God, honey, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But what would you have done if 6 months later your family member was driving a new Jaguar and just bought a $500,000 house and was wearing, looked like a walking Tiffany showgirl with jewelry everywhere? You'd be like, tell me about that again. Right? The reason we don't often listen to our family members is we don't see any evidence that anything changed. Oh, you're on fire for this thing, but you look the same to me. You sound the same. You're driving the same. That's Keto. You're still driving that. Right? But so the best thing you can do to convert a family member is to shut your mouth and lead by quiet example. Let them see the change in you. And I know it's very hard not to be to go out and proselytize. Right? You want to be standing on the street corner with that sign.
Rah, rah, rah.
How many of you have about the guy on the corner saying Jesus is coming soon? How many of you have yelped on the corner with that guy? I'm like, that's it. I'm sitting in Christ, my Savior. That's it. Right there. That don't work. That does not work. Right? You've got to walk the walk. Shut your mouth and fix your own shit. Then they will magically be interested. They will seek you out and ask you about this crazy keto thing that you were doing. How many of you had that experience? Fix your shit and they will come. I do think a lot of the things that you say, but I can't say Now, another angle is, and there's good in the world here and there, especially in this peer-reviewed journal at the checkout aisle called Woman's World. And we have one of the preeminent journals. We have a recent cover girl from Woman's World. Would you like to come up?
Girl, you heard that?
I was in a Woman's World class. So I'm telling all my doctor colleagues, New England Journal of Medicine, Woman's World. Where's the journal, by the way?
One in my room. But for weeks, I marathon watched these doctors, and I knew they were effing crazy. I'm a retired nurse, and it was, I had diet everything. Yeah, I've done them all. I walked that walk. So, after COVID, I decided to do what they were talking about. And here I am today, 105 pounds lighter. But better than that, I'm off 23 prescription drugs. I can like, thank you, Dr. Berry, for that. A couple times a day. I like my protein. I like my fat. I have no gallbladder. I have stage 3 B kidney disease. My doctor
Somebody there.
hated having to say it was resolved. I had to say that, it's resolved. Yeah.
Why are they upset? Because it's better.
Just the idea I'm not on their medication any longer. Here's my picture. 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago.
Girl, you were bad.
Thank you.
You should be in public speaking. You're so good at it.
And that was like, I have no clue what they want me to say or anything. But there was a man who had just asked questions before that time in regards to his kidney disease and being, the end of the road for him. And that really hit home for me because I lost my younger brother because he didn't want to go on dialysis and be hooked up to the machines. And so when I was diagnosed with stage 3 kidney disease, and I just put a little short out there on the YouTube page, my why, and I kind of explained, I said my why in here, that it was seeing my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids here, all these pictures. I knew I needed to live for them. That was my why I had to get healthy. And I realized the other day, and Ken video, I said, here's the camera, we need to do this. And I think it was Sunday before we took off to go to Cleveland. And I had to say what my new why is. And it's not new. My why is me. This here is all bonus. And that's what I need to preach. Not on the corner, it doesn't work. Dr. Berry said so, but and when I have those little realizations of how important it is, and I know each one of you guys are going to feel it too if you haven't already. It's like, ta-da, divine intervention, big time. Okay, let's get over me. I hadn't planned on playing that one, but anyways, my food list, and then the other lists, the keto diet food lists. The keto diet food list that I handed out has lots and lots of stuff on there. And yeah, they'll fit into the keto lifestyle someplace, but maybe not for each one of you. And so you do a process of elimination. Cross off what you already know doesn't work for you. Add in the things that you know works for you. And you just need to keep fine-tuning your own personal list. And what is really making you not feel good this week, maybe a month, 2 months down the road, it'll be fine. Or maybe it was fine 2 months ago. It's real strange, but I've noticed that a lot with my self. And as you guys all know, Ken and I have gone more towards the carnivore end of it. We don't do a lot of plants. Matter of fact, I have a jar of pickled vegetables on the table for our giveaway. So we haven't been eating out of that jar. It was another new jar we opened and we ate out of, guys. Yeah. So I, just this morning started thinking about what are my favorite foods after looking at this. And I put together the list. So I kind of like you guys to look at it and tell me what you all find is your favorite food, or maybe what you don't eat off of mine. And then I had to put my 2 bonus items, and then favorite equipment. What is that piece of equipment you gotta have in your kitchen? I already know what Ken's is going to be. So
The smoker?
Oh, that's not in the kitchen. No, that's outdoors. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, no, that'll be, I'm sure on his list.
Dehydrator? Are you doing dehydrated bacon?
I'm not making dehydrated bacon, but we cook and eat a lot of bacon. But I haven't tried it that way yet. We do have 3 dehydrators too, if anybody wants to borrow one at any time.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll definitely take you up on that.
Yeah, they're not anything big and fancy, but they work really well for us.
Yeah.
So.
We bought the steakums. And we're gonna try and make those meat thins like Rachel does on Two Crazy Ketos.
I have done those, and the first or second time, I guess I overcooked them. Dried it too far, maybe. Oh God, now you guys get to see
They
my.
turned into flour. I bet they turned into
And I ended up with this.
Meat flour.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
beef powder.
Yeah. So
Beef powder.
that's a
You
very,
still
very
use
common
those.
ingredient in Asian food is meat floss. So
Oh, yeah.
you can put it in all kinds.
I mix it in.
Yeah.
You can mix it just like you would
Sure.
a
You
pork
can
rind with
purchase-
parmesans
You
and
can
whatever.
purchase salmon floss and pork floss and beef floss.
That's
And
what
it's
we call that.
extremely expensive. So
Yeah.
It's just
Great
like
to do.
cotton candy is candy
so-
floss in England.
yeah.
So that's
So they have meat floss in
Yep,
all the
that's
Asian
the one.
markets.
Huh.
And they use it as a seasoning for rice.
well, mine probably came out to be a little less expensive.
Absolutely.
Like, with the beef jerky, that little pouch, you put it in your mouth, like kids, you like,
Yeah.
like a skull thing.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
So, I have to leave the cabinet door open so you guys could all see you. Yeah. Go. What?
What's number 3?
Heavy whipping
Heavy whipping
cream.
cream. And our license plate starts with HWQ, and I call myself the heavy whipping queen.
oh,
All right. So does anybody have ideas of other foods that they like to have that are their favorite foods in their kitchens?
Well, I had to change a lot of what I was doing this year because the microwaves at our school are nasty. So I went from eating I did egg life wraps and I cut them into noodles and then I added a meat to them, and I either had a taco bowl or a shrimp and scampi bowl almost every day last school year, and I warmed it up in the microwave for lunch. So it was egg, noodles, some sort of meat, and then whatever I had for meat, I would also put whatever seasoning. Sometimes it was Italian seasoning, sometimes it was salsa and sour cream and that kind of stuff. And I had that almost every day last year. And this year I'm like, I will not use those microwaves. So I had to change everything I was doing. I do a lot of cold deli meats, and now I'm doing wraps with the egg life wraps and a lot of hard boiled eggs. And my favorite vegetable is a cucumber. And sometimes I'll have just a sliced cucumber, and I'll dip it in the guacamole, or I'll dip it in a sour cream that I mix dry seasonings into and make it like a potato chip dip.
This is the meal that you break your fast with, correct?
Yep. So I do intermittent fasting, and I don't eat until 2:00 every day. So before 2:00, I'll have coffee, but I don't have any other foods until after 2:00 every day. And I break my fast after 2 at school with something cold. And so I always have to have something. So I do a lot of eggs, and then I can do deli meat wraps, but all the other regular meats, like shredded meats and stuff like that, I really like them hot. So I don't do a lot of ground beef. I have, when I did beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, I did eat those cold.
Oh, cold.
It was not my favorite.
Yeah.
But when you have high fat foods, eating the fat cold is easier for your body to digest. So steak and butter gal, Bella, she says, if you're having trouble with the digestion of a lot more fats, try eating it cold. If you can't stand bacon grease cold or beef grease cold, eat a slice of butter cold, not warmed up or used to
Or
saute
melted
your
or
food
anything.
or
Yeah.
melted or whatever. Because sometimes it doesn't digest as well when it's heated up.
That's
For
what I
some
was-
Well, and
Okay.
a lot of things are released when you heat something to its melting and breaking point, and so there's a lot of extra chemicals, and that's probably where it inhibits a lot of the absorption.
So if you're having any trouble with higher fat foods, if you're eating them hot all the time, try something whole, like a spoonful of coconut oil or a spoonful of butter.
That's what we have.
All you've done is make me have to lock up the butter.
Yeah. I just literally go chop off a piece of butter and eat it.
I was just going to talk about the brown
All the
bacon
time.
butter
I do
too.
not. I do not eat butter by the chunk, but she does.
I do
That's
too, that bacon butter bites.
Yeah, I want to
Those
learn how
are
to make
good.
Yeah, we got to make some of
Brown
this.
So when
butter,
I
yeah.
started changing my eating, I was eating like the bacon and eggs and like an avocado. Anyways, I just keep getting really nauseous. And I know I have like the GI issues right now. And I don't know, and I can't eat a lot of food, so maybe I need to scale back on the amount. But I was trying to eat till I was comfortably full, but that doesn't work for me. It makes me sick. So
Have you tried doing like a digestive enzyme, like before you eat? Because sometimes those just help. And I
yeah,
used to take those.
yeah.
They can be a lifesaver if you're having like
For sure.
digestive
So maybe it's
problems.
just a switching over to all these.
Yeah.
Finding what
bad
works
things.
for you,
Yeah.
because if hot oils aren't helping, or if too much of one thing is,
Mhm.
I mean, it could be your body could be rejecting, like what they said, like the glyphosates
Yeah.
and the oxalates and all there's all these kind of things that basically a plant has a what is it called, a system to ward people off, so
A
that you
protective
don't
mechanism.
so that
Yeah.
you don't eat it too early. What is a plant's main thing? To populate and grow. But if a monkey eats a banana before it's ripe, when it scatters the seeds after digestion, if it wasn't ripe yet, it won't plant another banana tree or banana plant. It won't grow.
Mhm.
So it wards off for you to eat it. It's not sweet yet. So, and it also produces toxins before it's ripe. So all these people that are like, well, I'm eating green bananas because they do this and they do that and they do this. It's like, no, a not ripe banana also has poisons that other animals know not to eat it, because that's its mechanism to make sure that it populates.
Right.
Well, I have went to, the cucumbers I eat, cheese, like the summer sausage. I do cottage cheese. I don't know if that's all right.
Yeah.
Or even like drinking like a little shot and some water, some apple cider vinegar before
Sure.
you eat.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
That can
I
help.
do.
That helps
yeah.
the gut a lot.
Kombucha.
Yeah.
Yogurt.
And
I've got.
do you put any spices or anything on your foods?
Not really. No.
Okay.
Salt. I've been
Salt,
using the red
okay,
ones and
good.
maybe some pepper, but I'm not a big spice eater.
Like bone
I would-
broth can help.
I'd pull off the
do have
pepper,
some of that.
because pepper can be an
yeah.
irritant and inflammation.
At least to try.
Also
Just for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just maybe
Just-
until your body adjusts. And then,
Yeah.
you know.
Probably just
Because
should
peppers
introduce it.
peppers when we like, but it's
So
not
if
necessary.
you on a regular basis say you eat 20 foods on a regular basis every week, these are the 20 foods. Try 1 week cutting out one of those foods, just one of those foods, and see if you feel better after a week. If you see any change at all in that week, go another week without that food, and then introduce it back in one time and see how you feel. I had to do the same thing. My daughter had food allergies, and we had to take everything away and then introduce one food at a time. So
It's
it
a pain.
basically is the same thing as you would a food allergy.
I'm gonna try that. I have bone broth and I have cider.
Yeah, because the collagen in both bone broth helps a lot with your gut lining.
Yeah.
So that
Bone
can
broth
help.
And
That's
I
super good.
was reading about aloe vera.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
can help too. Just make sure if you get it, you're getting one that doesn't have any sugar in it.
Right.
They
Yeah.
have
They've been
organic
artfully
brand at
sweetening
Walmart.
it like
Oh, they do at Walmart?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At least in Bowling Green they do. I don't know where you shop. Do you shop here? Oh, I mean, I don't know.
That's
Is
our
it a
8
drink or
o'clock
the?
It's
they
like a
actually have
glass
the plants.
bottle.
Okay.
It's like maybe like this big.
They actually sell the plants and.
Yeah, or you can
wires.
do it yourself. But
Yeah.
it's pretty easy. Like
Yeah.
YouTube video, it shows you how to like take off the skin and what part to use.
Well, see, there's another demonstration you could do for us for Easy Peasy
Oh.
Keto.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
She's got to practice that because, well, it's not my place to say why.
Oh,
Tell them about today.
so I got a kind of a promotion at work.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I started as like a farm hand. So now I'm the historic interpreter
Ooh.
assistant. So now I do like more of the history part. So I'm going to be in charge of doing like it's a Depression era farm, so I'm going to be kind of in charge of programming on canning.
All right. It's going to be
That'd be
good.
fun.
You can teach us how to do that.
Yes.
I don't know how to can.
I never canned, and I've gotten.
I did it my whole life when I was a
You
kid,
did?
but it was mostly like watching other people do it because they wouldn't
Well,
let
and
me
you can
touch
do
them.
like non-canning. So like
Ooh.
That
Stacey
would
can
be
do a lot
okay.
of that with the like vinegar type stuff
Oh,
where you don't
okay.
actually have to can it in
Yeah.
Like
A
with the
pressure cooker
cook.
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just like fresh pack in your fridge.
Oh,
yeah. And you can do like lacto fermented stuff the same way, like sauerkraut.
She'll do a lesson plan.
Okay.
That's, yeah. I'd like to learn more of that,
Yeah.
the fermenting end of it all.
And a lot of that stuff's great when you're on keto because it can help with,
Yeah.
gut issues.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because I think there really is a sweet spot, like Stacey's talking about. Like, I think everybody needs to do keto a slightly different way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's
Everybody's
just figuring
body,
it out, I guess.
Yeah.
chemicals, their environment's different, everything
Yeah.
about it. Their lifestyle's different, that
Yeah.
can cause
Yeah.
different.
And like based on your lifestyle, I know there's some people that do keto that might carb up like once a month because they run friggin' marathons or
Oh,
something.
yeah.
Right.
My brother's going to run a 60-mile marathon.
Oh my god.
Yeah, ultra.
Yeah, is that considered an ultra?
I'm like, are
It
you
is.
not? He just did one. Now, this is you wouldn't be proud of this, but he did a donut running marathon where you run, you
Oh,
eat 12
God.
donuts, and you run some more. I was like, why do you want
Yeah,
to
that sounds
torturing yourself?
That
I
sounds
can't
horrible.
Oh.
imagine.
That
It's
sounds
just
like
those
virtual
kind of
years.
people. They have to
Is
like,
that your brother who I've met?
It
The
does.
comedian,
You know,
Joe,
that
the
sounds
preacher?
Terrible, that whole
the-
running in between
I
eating
know,
my
right?
donuts.
like, why don't you run?
Yes.
All about that running in between eating those
Right.
donuts. That sounds terrible.
We have to make sure we're not as late as we were.
Oh,
last time
okay.
Because we have to pick up our daughter. and
After
get her
March
there.
16th, when her musical portraits,
Uh-huh.
then we will have more flexibility in our
What?
evenings. But our daughter has to be picked up tonight at 8:30.
She's in play musical
She's in a
practice.
musical.
Mm.
So if anybody wants to come see Newsies at the high school, 15th, 16th, and 17th.
Finley High School.
Finley
Cool.
High School.
So,
March.
and we are still on for Saturday. Going.
Yeah, what time are
Um,
You wanna
departure?
keep going on the video?
Oh, okay. Well, let's go ahead and draw out a number here, and you guys then we could, cover. We, Evelyn, Emily, and I are going to go down by Dayton for a keto meetup on Saturday, and Evelyn Burton is hosting it, organizing. Karen Burton, I'm sorry, is organizing it all. And so I know it's going to be a lot of fun. We'd had a Christmas get together at hers and Michael's house. It
I
was
wish I
really
could
good.
go. I'm going on a retreat in April, and we're meeting the lady in West Virginia. So the lady's coming to Fostoria Saturday night. So we can
Yeah.
meet her and.
Well, I'm sure we'll have more of
Oh,
these
yeah.
that we'll get to go.
There is
to.
also another one. I tagged you on Facebook.
I saw
June
that.
29th is a meetup.
We've got to be careful with our too many things on Saturdays because we have our Easy Peasy gardening group here on Saturdays that you guys are all invited to come to. Yes. We started planting last week, and we are, it is growing already. Thank you, Leslie, for all your encouragement of doing groups because you had no input on this, and I blamed you for what we're going to do.
I'll take it.
What Ken and I have done for the last
I'm a group bully, if nobody knew
I'm a
that.
group
I'm a group bully.
yeah, for the she's my favorite bully.
Oh, so proud.
Okay. Hey, let me just quickly explain, then we'll do this. But our Easy Peasy Garden Group, Ken and I have, since we've gotten together now, we planted a garden together for over 2 years. Anyways, and he's got this school paper that says he knows something, and all I
Does it say
have.
Master Gardener at the top?
And then,
It's in the middle of my class.
but and all I have is I started a garden to help save me when my perfect trifecta was coming in line, I was finding keto. I was finding my reason to live again. I started seeing a mental health counselor, and I started at Cedar Creek Church. And I was encouraged to go ahead and start my garden. And I had the garden boxes that my deceased husband and I had bought years earlier, and then through his illness, we never did anything with them. So I thought, what the heck, I'm going to do that. Well, I had divine intervention. There's no doubt about it. 6 weeks later, God sent a gardener to me. God looked down, saw my garden, and said, that woman needs help. So,
So cute.
And then I kept him.
yeah.
You can stick
And
around
but-
as long as you work.
So anyways, we plant a lot extra than what we need for our garden. And I thin out the strawberry patches and this kind of stuff. And then we sell them for just $1 a piece, the plants, for people to start their own gardens and whatever. And so this year, because we have our Easy Peasy group, gardening group going, we are going to start all these extra plants as a group. And then when it's time to sell the plants, we're going to sell them as the group. 50% is going to go back into replenishing for supplies. And the other 50%, we're going to find a good cause or causes to donate to maybe Parks and Recreation that has something with kids going to teach kids more about the outdoors, gardening, animals, whatever. Something that the kids now aren't getting.
Right.
So that's going to be part of our Easy Peasy gardening group, and you guys are all invited to join.
Okay.
So
That Saturdays at what time?
it's 11 o'clock. 11